Work on this system began under the auspices of the Information Management Computing project and is now continuing under a new project on formalized system development. The system that we've built is founded on three key principles. The first notion is that of representing all of the information in the environment in a uniformly accessed global database of objects. The second notion is of allowing users to access information in that knowledge base by description, rather than by having to know the names of the objects that they wish to manipulate. The third key notion in building the system is to explicitly represent the rules that are expected to be followed by the system and the user in the course of their interaction. This includes both rules for maintaining consistency between information items in the knowledge base and rules for responding to simple events with routine actions. Now, users can tailor or extend the system to their own needs. One of our users has written a set of automation rules that automatically classify and display incoming mail. Keywords are used to determine what categories a message may belong in. As the messages come in, you'll see the effects of these rules. Here we select a new message and we'll view it as an object back in the display box. When we read this message, we'll see that this particular message asks one software developer to keep another briefed on his progress. I'm going to write an automation rule to take over the responsibility of keeping my colleague informed of my progress. But first, I'd like to find some similar rules so that I can borrow from their definitions in writing this new rule. So, I'll start by creating a description of all automation rules and asking for matches to that description. As you will see, descriptions are like database queries, but are also represented as objects in the system. When I ask for a match to this description, I will get a list of all objects in the knowledge base which are represented as automation rules. One of these rules looks interesting, so we'll ask to view it. The rule that we found applies whenever certain kinds of steps interesting to documenters are completed in the course of developing a program. I'll ask to take a look at its text in the edit buffer so that I can borrow from its definition in composing my new rule. Now, another reason for wanting to see similar rules is to look at what modules they belong in order that I can add my new rule to some module also. In general, we try to create rules not in isolation, but as a component of some module so that we'll have more information about them if we want to deal with them in the future. When I add a new component to a module, I get a skeleton of the component to edit in the text editor. And I'll modify that skeleton by adding my borrowed code to produce a rule that will automatically send mail to my colleague whenever steps of interest to system developers are completed. When I'm satisfied with the rule, I tell the system to install it. Now I can go on and look at some more mail. Accepting a development step will trigger several automation rules. The first to run is one we created earlier to notify Neil of changes to the mail service. The rule has generated a message and filled in its text by generating an overview of the development step whose acceptance triggered it. We can add any further text we want to this message. After sending this message, a second rule triggered by the acceptance of this step will execute. In this case, it will be a rule looking for augmentations to systems with known documenters. Its text is also initialized with an overview of this step, And in this case, we will simply send the message without adding anything. Finally, a rule will execute that automatically produces a system patch that will install the system changes recorded under this development step and place these in the execution environments of any users of the mail service on our local network who ask to have their environments brought up to date. The capabilities illustrated in this system, by relieving users of certain responsibilities, allow them to concentrate on other pursuits.